In this module, we are to analyze the crash of flight TWA 800. This accident is considered to be the starting point for the CDCCL regulations. The photographs that you can see on the slide represent the same aircraft, a Boeing 747-100 from TWA, manufactured in 1972. You can take a look at the NTSB report in an enclosed file. The accident occurred on July the 17th, 1996 in New York. A Boeing 747-100 from TWA, engaged in a scheduled New York-Paris flight, exploded 11 minutes after takeoff and crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. In this accident, 230 passengers were killed and there were no survivors. The resulting investigation was directed by the NTSB, the American National Transportation Safety Board, and lasted 4 years. It is still considered to be the most costly investigation in the world, as investigators had to recover every single part of the aircraft so as to reassemble it and identify the reasons for its explosion. In 2000, the NTSB published an official report which closed the investigation. This report can be regarded as the starting point for the CDCCL approach, as it started a reflection upon the risk of explosion in aircraft caused by fuel vapors. With this NTSB animation, you can visualize TWA 800's flight path. This animation was made using flight recorder data. You can notice that around 20-30 hours, 11 minutes after takeoff, an explosion occurred at the level of the center fuel tank. 4 seconds later, the forward section of the aircraft broke off because of the vibrations and the damage to the airframe. The fuselage section of the aircraft proceeded on its flight path prior to falling into the sea. Bear in mind that the aircraft was near the American coast of Long Island. In this set of drawings, you can see the crash sequence. At point A, explosion of the center fuel tank and debris falling into the red zone. At point B, the forward section of the aircraft breaking off and falling into the yellow zone. At point C, the highest path of the fuselage section prior to falling down. At point D, the left-hand wing breaking off from the fuselage to finally impact the sea at point E. Points C, D and E, debris falling into the green zone. At the time of the explosion, the aircraft was flying at approximately 15,000 feet, that is to say about 5,000 meters, and at a rough distance of 13 kilometers from the coast. After the crash, investigators were provided with a great number of witness statements. Pilots from other aircraft, in addition to air controllers, and witnesses from the ground and at sea. You will also notice the presence of the American Navy in the area, which is required in all operations conducted at sea. Here are the different zones identified. Investigators did their best to understand what had happened and the reasons for the crash. The different parts and debris of the aircraft were recovered by investigators in different sea zones. All in all, the elements which were recovered corresponded to 95% of the aircraft and its contents. All of them were reassembled inside a hangar in Long Island. The objective was to understand what had really happened. At the end of a 4-year investigation, investigators managed to identify the reasons for this crash, thus rejecting the hypothesis of an act of terrorism. Bear in mind that the reconstruction of this aircraft is still currently used to train junior NTSB investigators.